Good morning. Happy Thursday. I'm so excited to have you here and to be back on the Bookstack Coffee Chat. I'm Daleen Bickle, and I'm so glad to have you here, whether you're live or watching on the replay. Welcome. It has been another week. Hard to believe. I come here every Thursday at 10 a.m., so feel free to mark it on your calendars. Would love to have you join me every week as we discuss books, life, and faith. So we're already basically halfway through the first month of the year, and hope you've been having a good week so far. Of course, lots of things going on, and I have been doing lots of reading behind the scenes for some things to bring to you today, as well as doing some writing. Going to today try to finish up a magazine article that's due tomorrow, so I'd better finish it up today, right? So lots of things in the works. But I want to take a minute here at the beginning, too, to just kind of reiterate what the whole Bookstack Coffee Chat is all about. A while ago, I had, actually for a couple of years, I've just been noticing and how the words that are being spoken and being shared, especially in books, the covers are dark, the topics are dark, just a lot of say whatever to get the attention that you need to sell books. And my heart breaks about that because there should be so much intentionality about what we say. Words matter, and what we write about matters. And so I really desire to grow a community of readers and writers because they can't exist without each other, right? Without readers, authors wouldn't have anyone to write for, right? And without authors, readers wouldn't have books to read. So I would love to create an engaged community. I'm starting here in the Bookstack Coffee Chat, where we can discuss books that are uplifting, that have positive messages, fiction too, nonfiction and fiction, just things that have intentional purposes behind them. And would just love to grow that, and more on that coming in the weeks to come. But just wanted to share that with you. So a couple weeks ago, I shared a cookbook with you. And so I was going through my cookbooks this morning, and I wasn't originally going to share about these, but I thought, why not? They're kind of a perfect fit. So anyone, at least in my generation, is familiar with the movie Forrest Gump, right? There was a book, and I don't actually believe I've ever read the book, but I have seen the movie multiple times. But I have, over the course of the years, been the recipient of 2 cookbooks based on the movie. So the first one I'm going to share is the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company Cookbook. And in addition to really delicious recipes, all kinds of shrimp recipes, anything you can think of related to shrimp. But in addition to the recipes, on most pages, there are little quotes. Can you see that? Little quotes on the side and a few pictures too. So I just pulled out a couple of quotes that I thought were really important about our today's topic of intentionality. So this one says, "Mama always had a way of explaining things so I could understand them. Mama was a real smart lady." And then another one was, "If I'd known this was going to be the last thing I was going to say to Bubba, I would have thought of something better to say." I think we can all relate to that for people that we're closest to, whether it's them moving away, we lose track of friendships, or death of a loved one. Lots of times we look back and regret on things we did or didn't say, right? Well, then a following year, they came out with Forrest Gump's My Favorite Chocolate Recipes. And so if you're a chocolate lover like I am, this is another fantastic book. I don't know if I mentioned that the author of the Forrest Gump book was Winston Groom, which I always thought was kind of cool because Groom's my maiden name. So just that little connection there. There were 3 quotes on here that I wanted to share. This one, he's thanking his mother again. He says, "Thanks, Mama, for helping me realize that sometimes we all do things that don't make sense." That's just ponder that one a moment. Thanks, Mama, for teaching me to always see good in things. And the other one was, thanks, Mama, for teaching me that people might do bad things, like calling me names, but that don't mean they're bad. Maybe they just don't know better. Maybe that's part of what's going on in our society today. I don't know. Words to ponder. But what pieces of advice have you received? Just got me to thinking about that. If you have any words of advice from a parent or a loved one or even a friend, pop them in the comments. I'd love to hear those. So the book that I have been reading this week is one that I stayed up way too late, past my bedtime a couple of nights, trying to finish it in time for this week because I'm trying to read the books entirely before I share them on here, but just couldn't do it. And I just couldn't wait to share this with you either. So hi, everyone. I see you popping on. Thank you for joining us. So this week I am reading Hazel Gaynor's new book, When We Were Young and Brave. It's a novel. Can you see that there? And so it says there at the bottom, their motto was to be prepared, but nothing could prepare them for war. And so this is an interesting take, part of World War II history that I am not very familiar with. I've read a lot of books about World War II history, but this is based about a British mission. Well, it primarily consisted of British children at a missionary school in China during World War II. And there were a few American children there as well, and a couple other countries, Australia, and I forget another country. But it was primarily British run. And but yeah, fascinating story. And so there were a couple of quotes in here. It got me to thinking. It was what led me to think about the intentionality, because the author, Hazel Gaynor, has a real way with words. I mean, a well-phrased, what is that phrase? A well-turned phrase. There we go. Very, very interesting wording that she uses. And I love it because it's so visual. And this one is a little humorous. I'll share this sentence with you. So it's the headmistress at the school speaking to one of the students. And pull your socks up, Nancy Plummer, she called after me. It's impossible to feel cheerful with socks sagging around your ankles like bread dough. Isn't that so visual? It just made me laugh because I could see, and I remember as a kid, those big, almost knee-high socks, and especially in the wintertime with the big wool ones. And then, they stretch out and they start sagging down around your ankles, and to, make it sound like bread dough. I mean, that's just a great wording there. Then just a couple pages later, this one almost made me cry because, well, let me read it. So this is the schoolgirl, Nancy, who's describing another classmate. I felt a little sorry for her, although I'd never admitted it to anyone. Like a doll you've grown tired of playing with, most of the time I forgot she was there. Not a lengthy description, but powerful. And we can all relate to that. And so as a writer, I'm taking note of the importance of, it doesn't have to be long and drawn out descriptions. Just make it relatable, right? And as a reader, I appreciate that. And then the last one, I was going to share with you today from this book is actually the next to last paragraph of a chapter. I joined the girls in prayer, focusing on the singular truth I'd clung to all these uncertain years, that every decision I made, whether right or wrong, whether people criticized or admired me for my choices, took me closer to the place and the person I was meant to be. As the girls' bright voices filled the classroom, I closed my eyes and absorbed the simple familiarity of the moment. Chalk dust on my fingertips, the pool of winter sunlight against my cheek, the sounds of singing and instruction drifting along the corridors, routine and discipline, the glue holding me together while the world was falling apart. And so I just love that, in routine and discipline. So she says, those are the glue holding me together. That was the headmistress talking about that. So it just got me to wondering, what's the glue holding you together as our world, seemingly falls apart around us today. Hopefully it's not just routine and discipline. I pray that you have faith in God, because he is there for us at all times, and he looks over us and protects us and guides us and teaches us. So this morning, as I was reading in my Bible, as I always try to share with you some insights that he gives to me during my morning devotions. So today I was reading in the book of Matthew, and chapter 10, it's about Jesus giving the 12 apostles power to heal. And it says he gave them power over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all kinds of sickness and all kinds of disease. And Jesus is warning them and telling them that, as they go about preaching and doing these things, they're going to be persecuted. And then he goes on in chapter 10, verse 19, excuse me. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it will be given to you in that hour what you should speak. For it is not you who speaks, but the Spirit of the Father who speaks in you. And then jump down to verse 26. Therefore, do not fear them, for there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be made known, that will not be known. So that's just an encouraging word for you today. Like I said, in the midst of everything going on with COVID and politically here in the States, you don't have to worry. Yes, Amy, let me put that on there. Yes, this too shall pass. Yes. It's easier said than done, I know, not to worry. But that's God's word to us. It's a comfort. And but the reality is, we can, as me, I love to read history. And so I've read so much about the past, and you can see some of it starting to play out again now. And you, as a believer, read the Bible and you think you're prepared, you know what's coming. But when you're in the midst of it, there are those niggles of doubt and fears, right? But we can turn back to God's word. His Bible is always there for us. His word does not return void. When we seek, and when we knock, he will open that door, and he will provide us with the information that we need. He will provide us with the comfort that we desire. He will wrap his arms around us. He will protect us with a hedge of protection. There are so many promises in the Bible. And I just encourage you, if you're not into the Bible, just crack it open, start reading, ask for God to show you what truths he would reveal to you today. That is it in a nutshell today. I love that you joined me today. Thank you. If you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, I welcome those as well. If you are a writer, I invite you to join me over in my free but private writers group here on Facebook. It's called Ink and Impact. And so we have guest experts about once a month, trying to line those up for this year. Earlier this week we had, what day is this? It's Thursday. Yes, earlier this week, had a guest expert on the topic of Scrivener, which is a really robust writing software that you can use, but also it's just a place to engage. And like I said, look forward, if you're a reader and not a writer, I hope to get together some more ideas to share with you next week about my vision for how we can all connect as readers and writers. Making people aware of local indie authors. When you go to an online store like Amazon or Barnes & Noble or whatever, the ads that are going to pop up are those that have the money behind them, the people and the publishing companies that can afford all those ads, right? So there are so many of us independent authors, those self-published authors that don't have that big ad spend and can't get in front of so many people. And so I want to be kind of that bridge to help you discover works that contain words worth reading, right? That share a positive message, but not just positive, with a faith-based perspective behind them. So I welcome your thoughts. I hope that you'll join me next week, and have a blessed day. Take care.